So, mind's got me thinking. Brain is buzzing right now. And what it's thinking about is a couple of things. So, there is a universal consciousness, a source code of consciousness. And I know this because when I do things that I want to do, sometimes there's like a little voice inside my head that says, hey, don't do that. And that's not me. That's something else, right? So where does that come from? Right? Like that's that universal source consciousness. We all call it a conscience. But sometimes that same voice will tell you when you're trying to be a little bit reserved in a situation that requires a bit more action, will also tell you to take action. It's the same voice. It's the same voice. The one that's telling you to punch the guy in the face when the guy needs to be punched. It's the same voice that's telling you don't rob the old lady. It's the same voice. Literally. Same voice. So, if we're to give that voice a label, a name, it would be called Source. That's what I would call it. Many others would label it as God or Allah or whatever. You know, those are the two prominent ones. Yahweh, Yeshua. Yeshua's Jesus. And that guy's just, you know, kind of subservient to Yahweh. So, I mean, there's lots of ways you can look at it, right? But, truth be told, consciousness, mind, right? And conscience, the little voice. That's the thing I'm talking about. Little voice, that's the thing we gave name to. Now, that little voice can be a dickhead. It can also be very good. So, we have the understanding of good and evil. Now, to explore upon that a little bit, right? What you have is consciousness standing on one side, yeah? Which we'll consider that to be good for sake of argument. And you have physicality, like bodies, you know, rocks, like all that stuff, right? On the other side, okay, it stands in opposition, right? So you have thought, and then you have physical. So something you can't touch, and something you can. And those things stand in direct opposition. And according to scripture, according to internal dialogue, and according to societal norms and things that are displayed to me, displayed to you, probably on a daily basis, there actually is a direct oppositionary force. You have a physical force that is trying to be dominant versus the mind force that is trying to understand, reason, and logic its way through the dominant physical force. And it doesn't have exactly the best understanding as to what the fuck is going on, like why, right? So they do stand in direct opposition. Now, mind created the entity that was able to create physicality, okay? So they war. This is a spiritual war, deep war. It's been going on for a very long time. And there's actually archaeological evidence to many nuclear strikes, lots of internal turmoil and conflict within the human race that's been going on for millions of years. And there's archaeological records for that. So, what I would like to say and what I would like to speak to is I think that humans are actually above and beyond that battle in the sense that if the body that was created by the oppositionary force of mind starts to die, so if my body starts to become cold, if my body requires food, nourishment, if my body starts to die or suffer, my mind tries to preserve it. Yes, Now, we think about this the other way. Okay, now let's say you completely lose your mind. Your mind is fucked. It's gone. It doesn't know what the hell's going on. You are totally blacked the fuck out. Yeah? Like you don't know what the hell's going on anymore. Reality is gone. Your consciousness is totally fucked. You wake up in your bed. Last thing you remember, one day you're really tired, from a long day at work. You get in your car. You get home and you're like, holy shit. How the fuck did I get here? I don't remember driving. It's because your mind wasn't there, wasn't driving. Your body did it. Your body preserved the mind. So in the same sense of when your mind knows your body is very cold, it will go to seek warmth. When your consciousness shuts off, your body will find home, a safe place to reside until the consciousness can return. That being said, we're a unity, right, of consciousness and body. Those two things are always at battle. They're in a war. And that's one of the reasons why we're always so conflicted as human beings, especially with the deep understanding that we have of existence. We're always in conflict because there's actually two oppositionary forces at play. And we didn't want to see it or think about it, but it's been written for a very, very long time. There really are a couple of forces at play. One is physical and one is metaphysical. The physical one would be called Satan in the Bible. For argument's sake, this is what I understand, so this is what I'll articulate. So you have Satan. Satan is the body. Then you have God. God is the mind. The two are battling. Now, I am Brandon. I'm not Satan. I'm not God. I'm both. I am the body, and I am the mind. Correct? You are too. Each one of us is a unification of oppositionary forces that are trying to defy each other. And the funny thing is, they unify in order to perpetuate the body that you hold. We all place God above us. We all place Satan above us. For lack of better terms, these are the two words that I'm using. They're better words, of course. But for lack of better words to be used in this argument, I'll use Satan and God. What I would say, to each one of them face you when you unify, when you, as a mind and body and spirit, that's the key, the spirit. That's the differentiation between them and us. That spirit is the unification of their energies. So when we, as a unification of those two things, differ and question, do we get a response? You get a push constantly. That voice in your head, it ain't yours. You're listening. You're not talking, you're listening. And the voice in your head, those are two people. One is the physical body, and one is a radio signal from consciousness, the mind, the thought, that place you go to when you're alone. Now, as being unification of those two things, and they're fighting. They're in this eternal battle. They've flooded humans. They fought with humans. They try to take human souls for a long time. They've been doing this. Years. centuries, millennia. Who do you think holds the power? The two oppositionary forces that are fighting each other, or the creation of unity? Now, all it takes is that understanding and the willingness to not partake in the mental physical battle of existence. And you tell God, and you tell Satan, no. When God says, will you fight for me? You say no. When Satan says, will you fight for me? You say no. When the two of them ask why, you tell them to go duke it out themselves. They shouldn't have created us.